If you need any Xbox or PlayStation codes or any cheap PC games, use the referral link in the description. It will take you over to g2a.com. They already have a discount on most of their goods, and if you use the code CHES at checkout, you can get yourself an extra 3% off as well. Hey guys, how's it going? Ches back again, and welcome to a second transfer talk video. Thank you very much for all of the support on the one that went up earlier on in the week on Monday. We discussed basically everything that Borussia Dortmund have been doing in the window so far in that episode. If you missed it, I'll leave a link to it in the description down below. We're discussing Sebastian Rode and Mats Hummels and a couple of other transfers that Dortmund have been doing, including Mark Bartra, of course, signing from Barcelona. Today, as you can tell from the thumbnail and on screen right now, we're looking at one confirmed deal, one managerial deal that is all but done, and another big rumour with regards to Alvaro Morata. Now, we'll start with the deal that is already done as of this afternoon, as of my recording this video on the 8th of June 2016. Eric Bailly has signed for Manchester United from Villarreal for, I believe, £23 million up front, with add-ons that could raise it up to 30 million, which is about 42 million euro. So it's a big price for a young player. Now, obviously, they've done that recently in the last season with Anthony Martial, paying even more for him, and it turned out to be a very good deal. He's obviously flourishing at Manchester United as he was at Monaco, and proving to be that probably going to be worth every single penny of that deal. Bailly wasn't a first-team starter every single game for Villarreal throughout his time at the club. He was there for 18 months. He signed for them last January. And he's been good, don't get me wrong. He's been rock solid for them when he's played, but he's not been a first-team starter. He hasn't had that much experience. He's got a decent level of experience, but I don't think he's experienced enough to jump straight into the Manchester United first team. But I really don't know about this transfer. It's got me torn. He has promise. He's only 22 years old, and obviously, despite the fact that that's a large fee, a defender's best years are in his late 20s/early 30s, so they've got all of his future yet to come if they decide to keep him for that length of time. They will have to give him the time to grow in experience and ability, and have to be patient with him. I think they've been slightly lucky with the way that Martial has hit the ground running. Bailey might not be able to do that straight off, but, I mean, he might prove me completely wrong. He was part of the Ivory Coast team that won the African Cup of Nations in the last time the tournament was played. So he's got experience, but I don't know whether he has enough to jump straight into the starting lineup at Manchester United. He does have promise, and you guys will have to let me know in the comment section what you think of the deal. It is a big price, but, I mean, that's today's market. If you want one of the up-and-coming players in the transfer window these days, you are going to have to pay big money for them. And in the grand scheme of things, 23 million up front is not that much of a transfer fee. I can't quite believe I'm saying that, because 5 years ago it would have been a really big deal, but it's just not that much money these days in the transfer window. So I think I don't think they could be too disappointed if he doesn't smash the Premier League first season in. I'm sure, Jose Mourinho will try and bleed him into the first team the same way that he did with Kurt Zouma at Chelsea. And if he takes on the role at Manchester United the same way Zouma did at Chelsea, then there's no reason why Eric Bailly can't be one of the best defenders in the league in the next 2 to 4 years. So you'll have to let me know what your thoughts are on that deal. I really don't know whether it's going to be one that will work out for Man United, or whether he's kind of going to peak too early and then not really progress to become one of the most promising centre-backs in the league. We'll have to wait and see. The next deal that we'll touch on is actually a managerial deal. Now, it's been heavily rumoured recently and is almost complete. It's expected to be announced this Friday in 48 hours' time, as you see this on Wednesday. So I'm sure you've seen it in the press already. It's Ronald Koeman from Southampton to Everton. Now, Everton are going to have to pay around about £5 million worth of compensation to Southampton to take Ronald Koeman from St Mary's up to Goodison Park. Now, Everton had a rather poor season last year. Roberto Martinez promised Champions League qualification, and they finished rather solidly mid-table after having a very disappointing season. They have recently, though, of course, in February, had a takeover of the club from an Iranian billionaire who's supposedly promised £100 million up front for transfers in this window. Now, clearly they didn't trust Roberto Martinez with that money or the future of the club, as they removed him from his position. And Ronald Koeman is going to be, supposedly, within the next 48 hours, going to be given that task of getting Everton up to the next level of finishing in the top four. The big thing for Ronald Koeman, if he takes that job, when he takes that job, is, yes, he has 100 million to spend, but the more important thing is keeping the players that Everton currently have at the club. After a poor season as a whole, John Stones, Ross Barkley, Gerard Deulofeu, Romelu Lukaku all had decent seasons. Lukaku had a very good season considering the underperforming side that he was playing in. And if he might not need to spend much money. If he could just keep hold of all of those players that are currently at Everton, I believe Ronald Koeman can do a very good job there. It is a controversial move, as of course he's done a fantastic job at Southampton in the past 2 years since he replaced Mauricio Pochettino, who left to go to Tottenham, who equally has done a very impressive job at White Hart Lane. But Koeman, this year, of course, Southampton qualified for next year's Europa League, and obviously Everton, after finishing the table, have no European football. Everton, you would say, have the richer history, but in present times, Southampton definitely seem to be the club that are on the up. So it's not necessarily a shocking move, but it is a little bit surprising that he would leave what seemed to be a very good project at Southampton with plenty of young talent coming through, most notably James Ward-Prowse, who I personally rate very highly as a young talent for not only Southampton but England as well. And he's gone to Everton, who also obviously have the young talent as well, with Ross Barkley, as we mentioned, and John Stones, Gerard Deulofeu, Romelu Lukaku, etc. But if he can add to that side as well, then and he can keep hold of, crucially, that is the most important thing for any manager that takes on Everton. They have to keep the best players at the club. If they do, and spend some money with the billionaires' new funds, then Everton could be a force to be reckoned with the right managerial touch next season. And Ronald Koeman is the sort of manager that could provide that sort of touch. So we'll have to wait and see. I know Southampton fans are very annoyed and pretty angry at Ronald Koeman for leaving and going to Everton. I personally can understand the move, but it is also at the same time a little bit surprising considering the current state of the teams. But the scope for growth is probably better at Everton, but it's a tough one because Southampton are a very good side and they do have a solid history in the English leagues. But Everton, a slightly bigger club, in my opinion. Obviously, a lot of this is subjective and it's down to personal opinion. I believe Everton are a bigger club than Southampton, and with the billionaires takeover, there's probably more scope for growth both on and off the pitch. There's rumours of them actually moving stadiums from Goodison Park as well, finally, with this new influx of money. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. You guys will have to let me know your feedback down below in the comment section on that managerial move as well. The final thing we're going to touch on today is a rumour that is pretty strong. It's Alvaro Morata from... Well, I say from Juventus to Chelsea. Technically, it's not Juventus to Chelsea. This deal could be pretty complicated as far as the transfer is concerned. Obviously, he's currently at Juventus. He's not had an amazing time at Juventus. He's been pretty solid. He scored a handful of goals. You know, I've got his wiki up here. He scored 7 goals in the league last year, 3 in the Cup and 2 in Europe. So 12 in 47 games in total. So he's not prolific, but he is still only 23 years old. Plenty of room for growth, as is the case with Eric Bailly at Manchester United at the other end of the pitch. And I think Morata does have the talent to be able to improve to become one of, you know, the best strikers in Europe in, say, 5 or 6 years' time when he reaches his peak around about 27, 28 years old. Now, the situation with the transfer is... Obviously, he's at Juventus, but Real Madrid have a buyback clause in his transfer for £23 million, and it's widely believed that they will activate that clause, bring him back to the Bernabeu for £23 million, purely for the purpose of selling him on for profit. So the number that's in circulation right now with regards Alvaro Morata, technically from Real Madrid to Chelsea, is €40 million. So Madrid would bring him back to Spain from Juventus for 23 and then move him back on to Chelsea for 40 and make a healthy profit, which would obviously be around about €17 million, give or take the details. It may be 40 million including add-ons, like the Bailey one was 30 million including the add-ons, but 23 up front. So the exact figure will obviously be worked out between the two clubs. But Antonio Conte has picked him out, handpicked him, and said, I want this player at Chelsea for when I arrive. So the club are trying to get it done before the Euros start, but the Euros start Friday, so they've got 48 hours to try and get this through. And obviously, with the complications of him having to technically go from Juventus back to Madrid to then to Chelsea, I don't know whether they'll get it done before the Euros come around. I presume not, considering we're so close to the tournament now. But I would be pretty excited by the prospect of Alvaro Morata at Chelsea. Obviously, I am a Chelsea fan, and he could whilst obviously Diego Costa is a controversial player, when it comes to actual footballing ability and goal-scoring ability, Morata could learn a lot from Diego Costa. Obviously, you don't want him to pick up the on-the-pitch unsporting antics when it comes to when the ball is nowhere near you or when just challenging for the ball. Don't want Alvaro Morata to start elbowing and kicking and stamping on people like Diego Costa does. I do not condone that at all. But when Diego Costa actually tries to score goals rather than try to wind up the opposition, he's one of the best strikers in Europe, in my opinion. Obviously, I might be slightly biased as a Chelsea fan, as Southampton fans with the previous thing might be slightly biased about Koeman with regards to that particular move. But I think Morata could be a good move for Chelsea, and it would be a good move for him as well, as Conte comes in as a new manager. And if he's handpicked him, then you'd like to think that Morata would move and get a decent amount of first-team football. It's not like he's been drafted. Like when Mourinho arrived at Chelsea and Andre Schürrle had been brought in, and it wasn't Mourinho's decision to bring Schürrle in. Schürrle took a while to find his way into the first team, whereas if Morata has been handpicked by Conte, then, he's probably going to see a decent amount of first-team football. So I think it's a good move. 40 million is a lot of money. And I don't know whether Morata would be able to fulfill that over time. But again, like with Martial, like with Bailey, he is still young. He's only 23 years of age. And in today's market, you have to pay that sort of money for the young prospects. And he has already been half decent at first team level, at the top level in Serie A. He was decent for Real Madrid as well before he moved to Juventus. The season before he moved, he actually had a decent season in La Liga, scored 8 goals in 23 games. So, he was okay, but if he's to hit more than 15 goals in a season, which is all that he's done so far at Juventus, then he's going to have to kind of have the team built around him being the focal point up top. Whether that will happen at Chelsea, I'm not sure. It could do. I'm not sure how good Morata's ability to be involved in link-up play is. I'm not really seen too much of him on a club level. I've seen him play a couple of times for Spain, but I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. You guys will have to let me know what your feedback is in the comment section down below. I'm unsure about Bailey, whether that's a good move. I think it might be. I'm unsure about Morata as to whether that's a good move. I think it might be. And with regards to Ronald Koeman, I think that is a good move for him and a good move for Everton, but obviously it's a very, very poor move as far as Southampton are concerned. Who replaces Koeman at Southampton will be, hopefully, for Southampton's fans' sake, a manager of decent stature so that he can continue the good work that Pochettino and Koeman were doing there at St Mary's. Time will tell, I suppose. But that's going to bring today's Transfer Talk video to a close. The Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang deal, supposedly from Dortmund to City, has been picking up pace over the past couple of days. If you'd like me to talk about that in the next one, then let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, of course, drop the video a like button. Drop the video a like by hitting the like button, and subscribe to the channel too to ensure you don't miss out on any further videos. Of course, there's FIFA career mode content going up on the channel every single day as well, so make sure you check that out. But yeah, thank you very much for the feedback on the first video. Hopefully this one will get some good feedback as well. Let me know your thoughts on the potential transfers raised, and I'll see you next time.